Greetings, viewers and listeners. Meat Hook Jim here, the WrestleHorror podcast. As always, joining me, my co-host, Donnie Hoover. Donnie, what's going on, man?
Oh, man, not much. What's going on with you?
It's the middle of the week. It's just been a rough day at work, and I'm happy to be doing podcasting because it's much more fun than my day job.
All right.
And joining us this week on WrestleHorror, he's a pro wrestler. I've watched him for a couple of years now. He goes by the name Weapon X, Eric Fallen. Eric, how are you doing, my man?
Not doing too bad. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good. Given the state of wrestling nowadays, it's kind of disheartening. But I will tell you, my daughter Shelby speaks so highly of you when she interacts with you that she loves you to death.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit of wrestling. I mean, I've been watching your gimmick and your character now for a couple of years, and I've got to say you've got one of the most unique ring entrances I have ever seen. What prompted that?
I went through a lot of transitions over the years on trying to find new things and different things that other people wasn't doing. I don't know, some wild hair got up my ass, and I kind of thought about, well, wait a minute, I can do handstands, and I know it kind of seems a little cheesy at the time, but I always thought maybe if I could incorporate that into an entrance, because no one else was coming to the ring like that. I figured, well, if I can do it, why not use it? And I started doing that, but then I thought, well, maybe that's not enough. There's got to be more to it. So, I mean, I tried different things over the years, lights, glow sticks, all these different things. And then I went to a Rammstein show one night. For those of you who don't know who Rammstein is, they're a German metal band who do their own pyrotechnics on stage while they're singing or while they're performing. So I kind of stole that from them as far as using the pyro and the fireworks and the different antics of that nature. And, as long as I was doing it in a safe way, in a safe environment, I mean, it caught on, man, with the face paint, with the look, turning all the lights out and just coming to the ring like that. And then, you think that's it. And then you see this guy 6'4" walking on his hands, just doing things that he probably shouldn't be doing. It just captivated people, and it just caught on.
Well, I've got to agree. It definitely captivated me when I saw it, and watching you through some of the FGW shows with the different pyrotechnics. Really unique ring entrances, and it always catches people's attention.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's what it's all about. You got to be unique. That's the first thing I learned breaking in. If you can't be different or stand out, they're not going to remember you. So that was the deal, make the parents remember you, but always make the kids talk about you. So that was the goal.
Well, I know the last time you guys did a show, saw a lot of kids doing the Weapon X symbol when you came out to the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your backstory. How long have you been in the business, and when did you get started?
I'd say it's early 2005 is when I started. So what is that? 16, 17 years, roughly 16 years, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of had a break for a few years because in 2001, the goal was to go to HWA and start training. And that was the plan, get out of high school and shoot straight there and talk to Les Thatcher and meet all the guys and just kind of start my training. And I pretty much did everything to that degree. I graduated. That was the goal, just to go become a professional wrestler. Found out where I could go and get it done properly. So I went out there to Cincinnati and had a big meeting with Les, and he gave me a tour of the HWA headquarters, and I met some of the guys there at the time. And I was always going down to the shows on a Tuesday night. And so I got to be familiar with the Shark Boys, the Nigel McGuinnesses, John Moxley's, Cody Hawks. So, you know, it was just kind of like being there every week, getting to know people, and then, you know, getting ready to start the training and trying to come up with the money. But at the same time, you know, it was kind of rough trying to come up with the money because I was just out of high school. I was a young kid. I really didn't have a lot of money, didn't have a lot of family support when it came to that. So I was working around the clock to just try to earn my way in there. And, you know, I kind of had some problems with a vehicle at the time. So unfortunately, my money that I was saving to train kind of had to go to that and the responsibilities of having transportation. So I really didn't get to accomplish what I was going to go do at that time. So I kind of got down on myself and took a few years away from wrestling, thinking that maybe this was a sign that it just wasn't for me, you know. So I went and got in bands and I started doing music, and I was doing that for a couple of years. And later on, you know, I was just missing wrestling. So I figured, okay, well, I'll try to give it another shot. And I can't remember who it was. It was an old promoter. I think, I don't know if his name was JL Thrush or Tim something. I can't remember his name, but they had a group at the time called IPWA, and it was in Dayton. And I went there and asked them, you know, how do I do the training and how do I start and how much, you know, will it take? And roughly it wasn't as much as I was going to have to pay for less. So I kind of tried to go in there and start doing that, and they saw how athletic I was. So wasn't the best decision on their part, but they kind of looked at it like, well, you're very athletic. You can come and train here as we go, you know, and you'll learn as we go. But I wasn't ready for the ring at the time. You know, I was what I saw on TV, you know, at the time I was still a young kid. So, you know, you think that you know everything and you don't know anything.
Right.
So it took me a few months, man, to really learn a craft and learn a trade. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I got the crap beat out of me by guys like Roger Cox and Big Jim Hutchinson, you know, and just stuff like that. And finally it clicked in my head, you know, like just need to get in here, you need to train, you need to learn, you need to be humble. Even if people don't like you in the business, still come in and shake their hand and just be a humble guy.
Yep.
And I started doing that, man. And you know, I got rid of the whole young boy attitude and just started being more old school and more humble. And next thing you know, man, I started getting respect from the older guys, and I started getting booked on bigger shows with bigger superstars. And you know, next thing you know, I'm doing dark matches for Impact and doing certain things for other big companies. And it was just, I don't know, man. It's just things started happening, you know, and doors started opening just because I decided to have respect and be humble and have my eyes and ears open and my mouth shut.
It's amazing how that works, isn't it?
Absolutely.
That's what Cody preaches. I know he tells Shelby that all the time. Be
Well,
humble.
it's funny about Cody Hawk because we were familiar with each other. I was a fan at the time coming to HWA watching him, and I was like one of his biggest fans. And what made me a fan of him is because he wasn't a WWE guy at the time. He wasn't a WCW guy.
Right.
You know, he was just an HWA loyal. And, you know, he was in there hanging with WCW guys and WWE guys at the time. And I'm thinking, man, why isn't this guy getting signed? Like, why isn't this guy in WCW or WWE? And I didn't know at the time that he kind of was, and he was in talks with them. But, you know, when I fell out with Cody for a while, you know, I always wondered, like, well, is he still with that HWA company? Like, what's going on? It wasn't until years later I found out that he was getting ready to put himself in a position to go down in Dayton and start Rockstar Pro up. And I went there to do training there, and he had a few other people come in there to do training, and he was letting us all know that they were getting ready to start this thing off and kick it open. And he asked me if I wanted to be a part of it, and I said, well, yeah. And I said, dude, I said, I've been trying to get around you kind of guys, man, for a long time. I just kind of got lost in the shuffle of professional wrestling and wasn't always working for the right people, wasn't always booked by the right people or working, So it was just really needing to be around the right type of guys and the right promotion. And finally it clicked and it happened. And it's been off since then, man.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you've wrestled some dark matches for Impact, which is actually one of my favorite promotions, as people have listened to the show know, or even though John Orlando gives me shit about it. Who did you wrestle with it? Who'd you wrestle in Impact?
Well, I only had 2 dark matches with them. They were going through a fallout. Sorry, there's a phone ringing over here, guys. But there was a I don't know if it was management changing or what was going on with the company, but I did a gut check and I won the gut check.
Okay.
And another guy won it. So me and him got to work a dark match together. He was someone from Indianapolis, some big name from Indianapolis. And we got a chance to work each other because we did very well. Okay. And then I got called out to another place out in Chicago when they were running through, and I got to work Suicide.
Okay.
Which I think it was TJP at the time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was only, not even 5 minutes, man, but just an experience.
Sure.
Got to sit in the locker room with the big guys, the Dudleys, AJ, Jeff,
right.
Austin Aries, all these guys, man. And, you take advantage of the opportunity. You pick as many brains as you can. Sure. And you take that knowledge with you other places.
Right on. Right on. Okay, yeah. Cool.
What's a good tip that you got from sitting in those locker rooms that stuck with you?
The 2 that I got the most is from AJ and Jeff Hardy. And AJ always told me, always try to elevate your style, always try to evolve your style. Don't stick to one thing for too long. Just always keep your body in really good condition. I'm a bigger guy than AJ, so he understood that, being tall, it's everyone kind of stigmatizes tall people as a slower, methodical pace kind of guy. But I told him, I said, I'm an athletic dude. It's just, I need to make sense of being an athletic guy with my height and how I throw my weight around. And I told him about the handstand thing. And he said, well, why don't you incorporate that in, to your wrestling and see how that goes? And so I kind of started doing that. And that kind of changed. That's kind of gave me a different moveset than everyone else. And, Jeff was always telling me, just be unique. Be unique. Try a few things here, try a few things there. Maybe some things will work, maybe some things won't. But you just got to stay unique and always do something that's going to get these kids to want their parents to come back and see you. And, it's helped. I mean, I definitely think I have one of those characters that you just can't create in any kind of a video game at the moment. So it's kind of cool.
Definitely. So steering away from wrestling for a little bit, I've been watching some of your posts on Facebook, and I know you're a pretty big Halloween fan. Am I correct?
Oh, I love Michael Myers, man. He's my favorite.
and horror in general?
Yep.
So Michael Myers is your favorite. And, with your height and everything, you could very well play the Shape at some point in time. I mean...
Well, we did some FGW stuff back at last Halloween, and we were doing a skit where for the Halloween show, they wanted someone to attack one of the wrestlers dressed as Michael. Well, I already had all the Michael stuff, and the mask that I got from Trick or Treat Studios, I kind of tucked that into my man cave, so to speak, and kind of repainted it, literally to the T.
Right.
I didn't really like the way it looked when I ordered it. I mean, they have their own versions of it, and it's okay. But to make it look movie quality, I just wanted to repaint it all and just kind of detail it myself. And yeah, man, I got the chance to be the Shape that night, and it was just a good time. I mean, I kind of got him down a little bit, so it would kind of be hard to say you're a big fan of him and not know how to do anything that he does. But yeah, it was a good time.
I was there for that show, and honestly, I didn't know it was you under the mask.
Yeah, yeah.
So
What do you think about Rob Zombie's remake? What's your opinion on that?
I Here's my thing about Zombie. I've always been a Rob Zombie fan. Went and seen him several times. I appreciated the standalone because that's what it was. If you think about it, I, I mean, there's things about it that I like. There's things I didn't like. I don't like how he kind of took John Carpenter's idea and he kind of almost ruined the mystique of Michael by giving us such a backstory about why it happened and why he is the way he is. But in that same token, I kind of appreciated it in a way because it was like, well, this is his Halloween. I got to stop looking at it like it's a Carpenter version. This is Zombies version, and we never did get the story about what happened, why Michael was the way he was. So, taking it into that effect, I liked it. Now the second one, I tried to get into his Halloween 2, and man, I'm telling you, I'm a pretty out there guy, man, and I couldn't even follow it.
Yeah, it's a little tough.
It is.
So, being that you like Halloween and horror and things like that, are you a big fan of going to haunted attractions during Halloween season?
Absolutely. Last Halloween too, I got invited to come down and be a part of a haunted house up in Lima. I think it was Lima. Yeah, Lima, Ohio.
Okay.
And they wanted me to be Michael there, and I brought that up there, and they liked it. They asked me to come back. Unfortunately, COVID has prevented that, but
Right.
It's cool that you can go and be so much into something to where you can portray the character so well that you kind of get a job out of it. So I'm looking forward to it whenever this is all over and we can get our things back. I got invited to Horror Hound a few years back.
Okay.
As a VIP guest, hung out with I think it was the lead actor from Gremlins, played Billy.
Zach.
Zach, can't think of it. Yeah, we hung out all night. I stayed in Eric Fallen character all freaking night, all through the show, all through the VIP.
Nice.
I probably didn't take that stuff off till like 6 or 7 in the morning. He liked it, so we just sat around, hung out with Linda Blair a little bit. It was a good time.
Nice.
So you've rubbed elbows with some stars. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Donnie, your turn.
Yeah, besides Halloween, is there any others? Like, I'm a big Jason fan. I'm a Friday the 13th guy, but I love Michael Myers too.
Well, I like Nightmare on Elm Street too. I think Freddy's like the hard second here. Don't get me wrong, I love some Jason Voorhees.
Yeah.
I really wish that they would have followed up on the Freddy versus Jason thing and at least kind of made another one. But you kind of get something for a minute, and then you think they might do something else, and then it just goes dead in the water.
Yeah.
But
the way it always works.
But yeah, man, I'd like to see a new Friday the 13th. I think that would be good. I think it's something that fans have been wanting to see, is just a newer Friday the 13th. And I don't know how you guys feel about the way things are going in today's horror, but I kind of like this idea of let's not erase all the other movies, but let's create an alternate universe where we just go off of a first movie. And maybe in that first movie, we go 40 years into the future. Where are these characters at now, and what has happened? And what would happen if that villain came back and found these characters, or something like that? Like, I loved what they did with Halloween. Instead of him going through this and going through that, him getting captured that night, and he's just been setting somewhere for 40 years, and then he breaks out. That was just a very interesting. It just gave new life, to Halloween.
Right.
And I wish they would do that with Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, what if all the other movies didn't exist, maybe you go 40 years with that one. You know, what is Nancy doing now? Does she have kids? Does she have grandkids? Was this just her going crazy at the time, you know? And maybe now her grandkids, you know, because of it being a family thing, you know, maybe her daughter had dreams of this guy. Maybe their granddaughter's having dreams of this guy, and now they got to figure out how to stop him, you know? Like, I think that would be a cool take.
Yeah, I think from what I'm reading, I think Scream's getting ready to try something like that, because I know they're redoing another Scream, which my Scream's probably my second favorite on the list as well. And I heard they're bringing back like a bunch of the characters. Courtney Cox and Matthew Lillard and all them guys are coming back. David Arquette's supposed to be coming back. So yeah, I think that's what they're going to be doing with that one, is they're going to be rebooting it basically off of the first one, you know, years down the road. So that should
Well,
be pretty interesting.
you think about it, you know, and it's almost, I'm not going to say that it would be a screw up, but it's almost hard to screw it up when you bring back all the originals. You know, because even if a new director, even if it's not Wes Craven doing it, and you got another director, you still got these characters who have experience with the characters that they portrayed it. So they're going to be a lot of influence on that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I was a big Scream fan.
Same here. Same here. And they're releasing Scream 5 on Netflix pretty soon. So
Yeah.
Um, so let's talk paranormal. I mean, you and I have talked about this,
Yeah.
and I know that you're really interested. How much paranormal investigation have you done in the past?
I've been to a few places. I wouldn't say I'm like a pro at it. You know, I'm still learning the trade and learning how to, you know, approach it. I guess the professional way. I've been watching a lot of videos on, you know, senior ghost hunters and just, you know, I guess, how to attack this thing, you know, the appropriate way, you know, because I mean, you can't just go in there and expect something, you know. I mean, I think there's an art form to how you can communicate with these things. And, you know, I don't think it's just going in there and setting a few cameras up and hoping that something happens, you know. So, I mean, it's a few places I've went to. I've been with people who were, I guess you could say they were sensitives. So they were always saying that they see something or they felt something. But for me, you know, it was just a little harder to try to experience something. And I don't know if that's because I'm just immune to scary things. So I don't know if my brain's just kind of prepared for something, but I don't know. You know, I mean, I've kind of had some things happen to me that I kind of question. Like, I've been scratched. I've kind of had things brush up against me in the dark, and you just don't, your brain kind of, is it your brain playing tricks on you, or what is it, you know?
Right.
So you don't really know. But I mean, to say like if I could actually see an apparition in front of me, I think that would kind of be like the holy grail of ghost hunting, you know?
Oh, absolutely. You know, I don't consider myself a pro by any stretch of the imagination, but I have done this for a number of years.
Right.
And, you know, I've seen things. I've been touched. I've gotten EVPs that, you know, I can't explain. But one of the biggest things was, have you ever been to the Waverly Hills Sanitarium down in Louisville?
I have not. That is one place that I would like to go to.
Okay. Well, let me tell you something about the fourth floor. I'm not going to give too much away. Just
Okay.
expect to see something. It is never. I've been there 3 times. It has never failed me.
Yeah.
It's very interesting, and a very active location. Another place where I think I've seen the most activity is Bobby Mackey's down in Wilder, Kentucky.
Now here's a story. It's funny that you say Bobby Mackey's, because me and the other guy that I go with, we were going to go to Bobby Mackey's one night. Now, here's the interesting thing about it. On the website, it said they were open. And this was kind of back as they were starting to open up things again after the shutdown.
Right.
So, here I am excited because like you, I've heard nothing but, good things about this place. So I was excited about it. And we get there, and yeah, there's nobody there. The place is completely shut down, even though online it says they're open.
Hmm.
Apparently there was a mudslide next door to the place, and a bunch
Yeah.
of trees were down, and we never found out anywhere online that said, that they were shut down because of that. So that was kind of interesting that we'd get all the way out there, and it just kind of, I don't know, it just seemed kind of fishy to me.
Sure.
But yeah, whenever I get the opportunity, I'd love to go.
It is quite an experience, though. I did it. I think it was back in 2009.
Yeah.
I went with a group of ghost hunters, including Shannon Sylvia from Ghost Hunters International. And at one point, we had so many people that they had to split us up into groups, and we'd have half the group upstairs and half the group down in the basement. And while we were upstairs in the bar area, they had an Oculus that is supposed to translate electronic garble into voice from alleged spirits.
Right.
And normally it can be very active and it gets talkative, but nothing was going on. So what the guy that was leading it was saying was, okay, we had a big circle around it and said, everybody ask if they're the reason why it's not speaking. And when it got to my turn, I said, are you not speaking because of me? And it said, yes. So they had me step out of that area. Now, like, it was still within earshot, and it was just like I went from the main dance floor area over to where the bull was, the bull riding thing.
Mechanical bull.
Thank you. I couldn't think of that word for some reason. Anyway,
Donnie's covered.
Oh yeah.
So I'm standing back over there, and they continue, and all of a sudden, this thing starts getting real talkative. And it started answering these guys. But what amazed me the most was, to my left and up to the far left, I could hear bar stools moving on their own.
Wow.
Nobody over there at all. And the basement was just amazing too. So if you ever get the opportunity, I highly recommend going there. Very active place as well. It's just, yeah, it was an experience for me.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, man. I'm waiting for the day to just, I don't know if it's just I have to be around certain type of people that attract it or what it is. Whatever opportunity I can get to just kind of be around there and just experience something, I mean, I remember one of the places we went to, God, I can't remember the name of it. It was one of these schools we went to. It might be, I don't know if it was Higginsport. I think that's might be what it was called. But we were doing some sort of, we had some sort of psychic or medium there or something that he knew. And she kept saying, she didn't want to go in. She didn't want to go in. Like, the school's filled with people in there. And like, obviously we're not seeing anything. We're not even feeling anything. But we went in there and she kind of stayed more outside. And she would message us through Messenger and letting us know, as we're walking through, like, who's in what room and what's going on. And I got so excited. We were in this one room trying to connect with a little boy. And she said that there was a Slender Man type figure out roaming the hallways. And, I don't know how true the whole Slender Man, I mean, I know it's been a big, gimmick and stuff like that, but,
Right.
I just, to see something like that, would have probably been very crazy. So, I mean, I never saw anything that night, but she claims that it was there. And, you walk in these places, you feel uneasy and you feel like there's other things there. You can feel you can feel that there's something going on. But for me, it's like I've never had a chance to actually see anything. Now, feeling things, yes, but not seeing anything. So I guess the moment I ever see something, I guess it changes my perspective about it.
Well, you kind of think along the same lines I do, because I used to be a skeptic for the longest time
Yeah.
until something I saw changed my perspective. But I still consider myself a hopeful skeptic, because
Yeah.
I'm looking for that holy grail. I'm looking for that apparition
Yeah.
that I can physically see.
And I
Uh,
think, to be honest with you, I think as long as you're looking for it, I don't think you're going to see it. And that's just me. I think the fact that you're prepared for it, it changes things. I think going in there not knowing what is going to happen, I think your mind's more open
mhm.
to seeing something versus, oh my God, I'm looking for this specific thing that I was told that walks the hallway. And then, you wait there and you wait there and you wait there, and you might feel something here, you might get touched there or something like that. But the fact that maybe your mind was just not open enough that night, I don't know.
Right.
It's just got to kind of be the right time, I guess.
Oh, I agree. Absolutely. It's, whenever I go investigate a place, I try to clear my mind and not expect anything,
Right.
but just work it and see what happens.
Yeah.
And I use, I've got a full spectrum camera. I've got night vision cameras, audio recording equipment, non-contact thermometers. I even use dowsing rods.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so it's just, I love it because I want to prove that there's something out there, because it's always the scientific community that's saying, no, these things don't exist. But there's too many instances of things happening to say they don't exist.
But, don't you kind of think in your mind that from a scientific standpoint, it's almost a contradiction of what they're trying to say when they try to shut uh, what you're doing down?
Mm-hmm.
Because technically, wasn't it Einstein that kind of said your soul, your spirit is made up out of energy, and energy does not ever die, it just changes. So
Right.
whenever you die, yes, your soul leaves your body, but your soul doesn't die.
Right.
The energy of your soul doesn't die, it just changes. So technically, I mean, what are they trying to shoot down? Because Einstein's like their guy, so
Right.
he's the one that said it. So I mean, and if you're out here and you're feeling things and you're getting voices of people that are not there, I mean, that's already proof. That's proof that there's something going on.
Right. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, and you
And,
said that guy, excuse me, you said that guy said that, or the voice said that they wouldn't talk because you were around.
uh-huh.
Did that ever get explained? Like, did they say why? What was it about you that made him clam up, pretty much?
That was never explained, but once I left the area, it started talking. It never really explained. It never really explained why, but apparently my presence made it feel that it didn't want to speak. So
He
when I,
sensed the evil of Meat Hook Jim.
yeah, that's it. I'm 100% evil, and that's why he didn't want to talk. It could be because I'm a sink, and it felt that I might draw too much energy from it. But whatever the case was, it turned out to be a successful investigation after I stepped out of the room for a little while. And in the basement was a completely different situation too. It was just amazing experiences down there, and things I can't explain. Like um, the guy that was leading our group, he and I were standing about 4 feet apart, and nobody had flashlights, and there was only the ambient light that was coming through the windows and down there, because the basement was below the bar, but it wasn't underground.
Right.
And at one point in time, we're talking, and something black and solid moved between us. I could not see him, and he was only 4 feet away.
Was it as tall as you, or was it something small?
No, it was taller than me. It completely blocked out everything. I couldn't see him for a good 5 seconds. And it felt that it was so close that I had to jump back.
But you never felt like you got touched?
I was never touched.
Huh.
But I could not see where 5 seconds ago I could see this guy in the gloom, and then I saw solid black.
Wow. And you know that's got to be something messing with you. If you're already in a dark room and there's something darker than that dark room you're in, that right there will mess with you. That right there, I think, just puzzles your brain.
Yes. To this day, it still puzzles my brain.
Yeah.
Yes, I've never been on one of these things, so I can't wait to go. I think it's going to be a blast.
Yeah, that's what we're going to try. I'm trying to get nail down a time where we can go to Carnage. Because Eric, they did. The owners of Carnage sent me a video that they had on security camera.
Oh yeah.
Of what appears to be an apparition moving in front of a cash register that they have there.
Wow.
Coming out of the bar area.
Yeah.
And walking across toward the bathroom. Yep.
And they have told me that they've had strange noises, bumps, voices in this building. And
now you see, here, not to cut you off, but I would think, because I know, like, from what I've learned so far, you have the residual hauntings that kind of play out like a rerun,
right?
Every night or every other night. So I would think that those would be more kind of catchier than just something just appearing. But even that doesn't even work sometimes. Sometimes you'll go there and you've heard so many things at a certain time. There's this certain person that comes through, and maybe the fact that they're aware that you're there, you'll get something, but you won't get what you think you're going to get. So, and then there's other times, I'm wrong. There's other times where people do catch it. They do see it.
Right.
I just want that to be one of those times when I go.
Well, I do know that they've documented several deaths in the building.
Yeah.
But they haven't given me a lot of information, and that's the way I like it. I don't need too much information going in.
Right.
Because that kind of, in my mind, that kind of skews the mind if you know exactly what's happened.
Right. And want to know what's going on in the whole movie. Like, you want to find out for yourself.
Right. Exactly. And and that's why I reached out to you, and because I know that you've got a great interest in it, and that's why I reached out to you and said, hey, you want to join us on this, because I think we could really have a good investigation with a good group of people.
Oh yeah, and I'm not one of those guys. I'm not one of those guys that care about being left somewhere, in the dark, or being left somewhere to try to trigger something. So, I'm all for it.
Good. Because you're big enough, you can take care of yourself. So
yeah, well, I've been in some of those areas in the dark, like the bar area that apparition came out of. I've went in there a few times by myself and just kind of sat just to see if I could hear anything or see something creepy, and I never did. But like I said, I've never done it, so I don't really know what I'm looking for or listening for. Right. But and then there's they got a big warehouse part in the back. It's pretty creepy looking, and I've been back in there a couple times by myself, and I never heard nothing weird back there either. But here's a question though, it just got me curious. And like I said, this may be a dumb question. I just don't know enough about it. But during haunt season, when haunt season's going and we're there, and we got people coming through, will that deter anything like spirits or any kind of action, like scare it off basically, or will that entice them to come play, or will it not affect it at all? And like people could be standing in the queue line and this thing come walking out of the bar, you know what I mean?
That all depends on whether it's a residual haunting or an intelligent haunting. If it's a residual haunting, like Eric was saying before, it's kind of like a replay.
Right.
Because they don't know because the spirit they don't know who's there. They don't even know if there's anybody there or not. It's
On
just a
their thing.
replay over and over. It's like walking in a room. The TV's just replaying. It doesn't even know when anyone's around.
Kind of like a Groundhog Day type of thing.
Yeah.
Now, if it's an intelligent haunting, there's several different scenarios. It could decide not to, it could decide this is too much for it and it's not going to do anything, or it could decide to kind of help out and maybe scare some people.
Right.
But that's entirely, that's a whole nother ball of wax. It's hard to explain because even though it's intelligent, it's not necessarily wanting to interact.
Right.
That
Yeah,
point.
that's something I got to be keep my eyes open for, because being at where I'm doing zone captain this season, if I'm shooting down that actor hall and something comes out, I'm liable to shit my pants. Then they'll say, "Is that poop scent or is that real?" I'm like, "No, that's real."
Well, if you end up shitting your pants, you got to let us know.
Right. I'll call you right away. Like, you ain't gonna believe this.
I might even be there that night. You never know.
Right.
Well, then you know he saw something then, because no grown man's just going to do that. So you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do it just for fun, just to say, "Hey, guess what?"
But what if it's a female ghost with big boobs? I mean, what are you going to do then?
Oh, that'd be a different story, probably.
We probably won't find him.
But all kidding aside, oh man, this is great. Eric, this has been a compelling conversation, just because we've talked about so many different subjects on WrestleHorror tonight.
Right.
And one of the last things I wanted to ask you about before we sign off for the evening is your music, and I've seen some of your music, and I know you play at least one instrument. How many instruments do you actually play?
I can do guitar and keyboard.
And
more fluent on the piano though.
Okay, yeah, which is what I've mostly seen, and you've really got some soul to your music.
Yeah.
From what I've listened to, it's Shelby was the first one to tell me about like something you posted online about some music you've played, and just how long have you been playing?
Man, it's been years, man. I've been playing for years. Like I said, when I first started to go for wrestling, and that kind of was a stop sign, I knew that I could do music, and there was a few people that wanted to be in a band at the time, so we got in a band together, man, and I was doing that like probably 3 or 4 years. Okay. But I was never taught anything with music. Never went and got lessons. My grandmother bought my sister a keyboard one year, and because my sister was really into music, but she just never picked it up, never did anything, and it just kind of sat there in the corner and collected dust. So I said, I'll be damned if this thing goes to waste. It's nice. Right. So I just tried to pick it up and just started messing with it, and didn't expect to learn anything from it, but was just having a good time just messing with it. And then I think it was just a few weeks in of doing it, I was learning, I was learning things about myself on, how to make it sound like songs I was listening to. So if I would hear something on the radio, somehow my brain was picking apart, I guess mathematically, it was picking apart the keys on how to make that keyboard sound like that song I heard. And then when I would play it for somebody, "Oh, you know how to play this so-and-so, and you know how to play that?" I'm like, "No, but you're playing it." "Well, I guess I am." And then that occurred to me that I can learn by sound. I can learn by just, hearing a song enough times, and then I can break it down in pieces and then put it together as a puzzle, and then I know the song. So that's how I've learned, man.
That's an amazing natural gift. I applaud you for that.
Yeah. I think it was 3 weeks ago. I did that to the Ozzy Osbourne song, Under the Graveyard. I listened to that over and over and over, and then I broke it down in 3 parts. and put it together. And, you know, I'll be damned, I was playing that song. So it was, it's pretty amazing, man. You know, it's not something that I bring out as much as wrestling, but it's a hidden, you know, it's one of those hidden things that, like, if wrestling doesn't, you know, do it for me at the end of the day, then, you know, I can go off and, you know, get in a band and at least, you know, do something, you know, entertainment wise.
Now, were you at the variety show that FGW had?
I was not. I was going to be, but I had other things going on with, you know, work and stuff like that, so I didn't get a chance to be. But I'm definitely going to try to incorporate myself into the next one. I know the band that was playing there that night, they've invited me to come down and be their keyboard player. So, you know, a lot of the music that they, you know, that they were playing, you know, it's just trying to incorporate a keyboard into that, because, you know, say like certain songs that don't have a piano, you know, a keyboard involved in it, you know, in the beginning,
Right.
it's kind of like, well, how do you spice that up with putting a keyboard in there, you know, and making it sound, not butchering the song, but make it sound, you know, not as good as it is, but decent at least. So, you know.
Well, I know that a couple of the songs they played was Wipeout and Smoke on the Water. Those are the two that stuck out the most to me. And what
Yeah.
really amazed me is Ryan Wild on the drums.
Yeah. And you know what? You would have never known that. You would have never known that. And it's funny how, like, you know, we're wrestlers and we're entertainers and we all have our own, you know, characters and we all have our own shtick. But just to see that, you know, we're not just that, you know, that there's other talents that we possess too, you know, and when we bring it forth, it's almost like, wow, you know, I didn't know he could, you know, he was a comedian. I didn't know he could play the keyboard. I didn't know he could play drums. You know, it's just being diverse in the entertainment world, man.
Well, it was definitely interesting to see wrestlers up in the ring, not wrestling, but showing these hidden talents, as you said. You know,
Yeah.
I was shocked that Harley Fairfax knew how to play bass.
Yeah. And it's funny. It's funny because it wasn't a wrestling show.
Right.
But you felt like it was just not wrestling.
Yep.
It was just, it had that feel to it.
It did, and it was entertaining from start to finish. And Cody and Big John had their stories, and Cody told a couple of poop stories about tricks they played on other wrestlers in the day.
Oh, Lord.
You'll have to ask Cody about the poop stories.
I think I've heard these stories.
And how some big goof by the name of John Murray wanted Cody to superplex him off the top rope back in the HWA days. So I'm sorry?
I said I can see John wanting that.
But there's so many different talents. Shauna Reed singing, and you know, Deacon Ronald being a magician.
Yeah.
It was really refreshing to see all these hidden talents and be entertained for well over 2.5 hours. And
you know the other thing about it is it's also learning experiences too, if you think about it, because you, even though you're talented at doing that and it is a hidden talent, that's not your element. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's not what you normally do as an entertainer. So to put yourself out there in uncharted territory, not knowing if you're going to get booed, not knowing if you're going to get cheered, not knowing if it's just going to be blah. You know, it's a lot of guts out there, man, you know, putting yourself out there like that. And, you know, you feel kind of, you know, in a sense, you feel kind of vulnerable, you know, just being out there. Because you don't know, you know, how people are going to receive, you know that you've done so, you know, you put so much hard work into being what you are as a wrestler and a character there and an entertainer. But just to expose that to everybody, you're thinking, well, man, they may really throw trash at me. Right. But, you know, I think everyone knocked it out of the park. I mean, I watched it and there was never really a dull moment, you know, for me.
No, there wasn't for me either.
Everybody possessed their own thing, man.
Yeah. So wrapping this thing up tonight, you've got your fans out there, your Weapon X fans.
Yeah.
Is there any way people can find out more about Eric Fallen and social media, things like that?
Facebook, it's just Eric Fallen. Twitter, same thing, just Eric Fallen. And I think Instagram, it's Fallenstein82.
Okay. Kind of a Ramstein thing in there.
Yep. Of course, man. That's kind of what gave me my edge, man.
All right. Are you doing any shows outside of Ohio? Anything booked for you, or?
I've been laying a little bit low about it, just kind of getting my body, out of this COVID downfall, trying to get my body back in shape and
Okay.
get back into the grind of working out and getting my body where I need to be. But I mean, I've kind of threw the signal out there to people. I'm free, I'm available, so it's just waiting on someone to bite the bait. I mean, it's a shame on what's going on here in Ohio. I mean, I was looking forward to coming up there, and working with the Arnold and NOW and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that this thing will go away at some point, so everyone can go back to their normal, and we can have wrestling in Ohio again. I mean,
It'd be nice.
It's kind of shot a lot of people down, man. It's just,
it has, and we're all hoping that it gets better sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
But with that being said, Eric, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me and Donnie here on the WrestleHorror podcast. There's some great insight about different aspects of your life. And I think we covered the gamut of what WrestleHorror is and then some. So, we thank you for coming on and being a guest.
I thank you guys for inviting me, man. And like I said, I love what you guys are doing with this thing, man. You're bringing two great things that a majority of people out there love together, so it's awesome. You don't get too bored talking about wrestling. You don't get too bored talking about horror.
Right.
It's all two for one, man.
Well, I got to give Donnie credit. It was Donnie's brainchild. He just asked me to help with it. So it's a lot of fun. And, here we're already past a year of doing shows, and we're not going to stop. We're just going to keep going and getting better.
Just feels like we're just getting started, actually.
Right.
And I'll be honest with you, man. From being out where I'm at and being around the people that I am, I've heard a lot about your guys' show. I mean, it's out there, man. People do talk about it. So, I remember it must have been a few months back, someone asked me if I ever did, came on and did one of those because they thought I did. And I said, no. I said, I've done a few of these podcasts and stuff like that, but I've never, got invited to that one. But, if I ever had the chance, I'd do it. But, yeah, man. I mean, what you guys are doing is awesome. Keep it up. I'm a fan of it. I'd like to come on again.
We're having a lot of fun doing it. Yeah, we'll definitely have you back on for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
We're going to start having more of the new Ohio roster on once we get rid of this pandemic in Ohio that doesn't seem to be happening in any other states around us.
Right? You would think like Ohio's like the Black Plague of the United States right now.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and I thought it was Florida, but... But anyway, gentlemen, it's getting late. Eric, again, thank you for coming on the show. Donnie, keep being Donnie. We are the WrestleHorror podcast. We will catch you on the next episode.
Thank you.
See you guys. Yep, see you.
Bye.